Those who refuse the gift of eternal life are condemned to wander in the darkness of eternal night. Coming this fall from SJS Direct. Some of my viewers wanted to know what I thought about the debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump that came on this Tuesday. Now, I did not watch most of this debate because I really did not want to see the country embarrassed by these two incompetent candidates as I saw it. But in the few clips that I did watch on YouTube, it was the complete train wreck that I anticipated it was going to be. And the reason why I said it was going to be a train wreck was because when I thought about these two candidates, I knew that they were not going there to debate the issues. No, they were going to debate each other. And that was the big weakness for both your Donald Trump and your Joe Biden. They have not talked about what they're going to do for we the people. It is all about them trying to convince us that one is better than the other. Now, a debate is supposed to be a forum where two individuals are supposed to go out here and present their arguments on a subject. And the main focus of a debate is those arguments staying on the subject. Unfortunately, in the Trump-Biden debate, we did not get a focus on the subject and the issues that were important to we the people. No, we got ad hominem attacks and shaming tactics thrown back and forth at each other. And that's not a debate, that is an argument, and an argument on screen between a sitting president of the United States and a contender or candidate for president of the United States is an embarrassment to the country and not only on the national scale, but on the international scale. Because that's what really was embarrassing, was neither one of these candidates thought about the image they were reflecting not only to we the people, the voters, but to the international community abroad. Because that circus we saw between Trump and Joe Biden really showed how bad things have gotten here as related to these United States of America. Now, this so-called debate deteriorated into a complete disaster because both candidates really, again, were not debating on the issues. No, your Joe Biden was trying to debate that Donald Trump was a bad candidate because of his record, and your Donald Trump was debating on Joe Biden based on his past record. And again, that's not really a debate, that is an argument, because these individuals are both attacking each other and not explaining the issues presented. And what was really more troubling about this whole so-called debate was how out of control this whole situation became. Now, usually in debates, you have a moderator who can keep control of both candidates, but Chris Wallace was not able to do that, and he wasn't able to do that because your president, Donald Trump, just was so out of control. And that was really troubling for me to see a sitting president of the United States not knowing anything about decorum as related to a debate and not having enough discipline and self-control to understand that he is representing himself to the American people in a forum where he is trying to show people why they should continue to stay on his course. And what was really troubling for me with your sitting president was he didn't really answer any of the questions. Moreover, he did not take any responsibility for what went on in his administration. So most of his answers were emotional responses, and most of them reminded me a lot of the black women in my neighborhood. Now, whenever you have a black woman and she's in a power position, what she does when she is put into a conflict is she gets very defensive, she gets very emotional, she gets very argumentative, and she goes into your shaming tactics in order to make the other person feel bad for presenting points relating to her. And then she goes into ad hominem attacks, attacking the individual on personal matters. And oftentimes, as she is making these statements that are shaming tactics or they are these ad hominem attacks, she does not give an individual a moment to breathe, let alone respond with her verbal assaults on them. And these verbal assaults, they are so vicious because they're all about her trying to dominate the individual and make them shut up. And that's what Donald Trump was doing in that debate. He was looking for ways to dominate Joe Biden, and he was also looking to dominate Chris Wallace. And that's what black women in my neighborhood used to do whenever they were confronted by any sort of black man. And that's what we saw from your Donald Trump, him basically acting like one of these black females out here, getting emotional, getting defensive, getting argumentative, and not sitting there and articulating his points in a cohesive manner and presenting his points in a manner just like I'm presenting them, without letting his feelings get into things. Because when you let your feelings get into things, you wind up saying things you shouldn't say, and you wind up showing things to people about your character that will reveal things that show people why they should or shouldn't deal with you. And one of the things that I found to be most troubling about that Trump debate was that statement he made about the Proud Boys. Now, the moderator asked Donald Trump to denounce white supremacy, and the answer should have been, Donald Trump, right out of the gate, I denounce white supremacy. But instead of him denouncing white supremacy, he takes one moment to pause, and then he talks about Proud Boys, stand by, and I think stand up or something like that. And that's really troubling to me, because that's like you're sending a message to this group to participate in some sort of behavior. And everybody knows that the Proud Boys are a white supremacist organization. And if you have a sitting president making a statement like that, that's a statement you should not vote for this man. Because if you're going to have a president standing and making a statement about a white supremacist organization as related to an election, that's a red flag for me that this candidate is a white supremacist, and it is making me think that your Donald Trump in the next 4 years is going to be Woodrow Wilson. Because what happens is, when you're making a red flag statement like that, that's a statement that tells people, don't vote for this guy. And it's an emotional response that is just as troubling as George H.W. Bush's response in 1992 when he looked at his watch as he was debating Bill Clinton. And then we were in the middle of this recession, and we're in the middle of a debate about the state of the economy. And your George H.W. Bush, during that debate, what he did when he looked at that watch was saying, basically, he didn't have time for the American people, and the needs of the American people were not important to him. So that statement he made with his body language was the one thing that put the nail in the coffin for Bush in 92 with Bill Clinton. And when I look at that statement Donald Trump made and that behavior he participated in Tuesday's debate, that may have been one of those things to put the nail in the coffin for Donald Trump as related to his election in 2020. Because when you have a president who goes out here and makes a statement to a white supremacist group, that's a red flag that everybody should look at and say, hey, this guy is not qualified to be the president of the United States. He is supporting white supremacists. He is associating with white supremacists, and he refuses to denounce white supremacists. Now, on the Joe Biden side, I saw problems with his presentation. He did not really go out of his way to connect with the American people, and that was one of the big problems with the previous administration he was a part of, the Obama administration, because the Obama administration, their big problem was they did not connect with the American people, especially black Americans, and had the Obama administration connected with black Americans and done something about George Zimmerman, then that we might not have had Donald J. Trump in the White House right now. That's something that I believe was the thing that really alienated a lot of black voters, and I didn't see many reasons for black voters to come out from the way Joe Biden presented himself. Now, Joe Biden came out here and he did not really present much of an argument for why he should be the president of the United States. He basically talked around things and talked around issues, and his main argument was, I am not Donald Trump. And I've been saying for the last couple of years, I am not Donald Trump is not an argument. You have to come to the table with specifics of what you're going to do different as related to your vision for the country. And that's the thing that is weakening Biden with the debate, was he did not have a vision, and more importantly, he did not have the backbone or the stones to go out here and stand further up for the country. Because with a guy like Donald Trump, a loudmouth, if you really want to push, you have to push back against this guy, and you have to push back hard. And again, as you are indifferent to his emotional responses, you have to come out of the gate aggressive and assertive, asserting your talking points, asserting your vision, asserting your direction, and asserting what goals you will present that are different than what your Donald Trump does. Now, again, your Donald Trump says he wants to make America great again, but we really don't see a lot of his promises being fulfilled. I mean, he talked about building a wall and Mexico not paying for it, and we're now paying for it. Mexico is not paying a thing. He also talked about repealing and replacing Obamacare. Obamacare, also known as the Affordable Care Act, is still the law of the land. And there were numerous talking points that Joe Biden could have hammered Trump on, but he didn't go out of the right way to present those talking points. And had he presented those talking points in a more assertive manner, he might have gotten people to actually support him and his platform. Because you have to, again, go out here and present strong talking points. And Joe Biden was just too passive to deal with Trump's aggression. He's trying to make it look like, oh, he's out of control and I'm in control. Unfortunately, that doesn't work with this kind of guy, the Pookies and the Ray Rays. With the Pookies and the Ray Rays, you cannot engage them on an emotional perspective, because that will mess you up. And you can't also address them with a passive approach. You have to come out of the gate, one, indifferent to them, and then two, come and hammer your arguments so hard that when people hear your talking points, they're like, wow, this guy is intelligent, this guy is articulate, this guy really presents his arguments in a cohesive and intelligent way. And it looks like there's some merit to his arguments, because he's presenting things based on facts, based on reason, and based on, logical points. But we didn't see that in that debate, because Donald Trump came out of the gate with that black woman style approach of being loud, argumentative, intimidating people, and the whole debate fell completely apart. And I don't think any sort of rule change is going to be able to deal with that type of approach, because with today's black female and how she just is so out of control that she practically takes control over situations. And again, the only way to deal with that type of person who seeks that type of attention is a complete shutdown of things. I mean, the only way to shut them down is to walk away from this type of individual or cut them out of their lives, because this type of person, they will try to dominate everything. And that's not an alpha male trait, because the alpha male trait is about discipline and self-control. And a beta male who has these feminine traits, he likes to try to control because he's insecure. And when he's insecure, he has to get louder and more argumentative in order to control the situation. And that's why you had Chris Wallace at one point practically throwing up his hands and going into profanities because he could not moderate the debate. And that's very similar to what many brothers run into with these black females. They run into a black female, and when she starts to believe she is right, she will just go into this thing where you just cannot get her to see any sort of reason, any sort of logic. And again, you listen to the way Donald Trump was acting and behaving, that's not a good look for the country. But what's an even worse look is the American people really don't see how this president is reflecting on them. Because if your president sitting is coming for a second term and he cannot present cohesive arguments or listen to facts, logic, and reason, and he cannot present an argument to why he should be re-elected presented in a way on setting a vision for his next 4 years, setting a direction for the next 4 years, and setting goals for the next 4 years he wants to achieve and accomplish, then that's a red flag. And the same thing for Joe Biden, who also did not come out of the gate. I mean, this is more important for him than anything else, because this is your opportunity to show everybody what is your vision that is going to be not only different than Donald Trump, but better than Donald Trump. What is your goals for the next 4 years, and what is your direction? Because all I see from both candidates is a reason to stay home. And as a black man, I see more reason to stay home, because I see one white supremacist who is overt like Donald Trump, who associates with white supremacist groups like the Proud Boys and is calling them to arms. And then with Joe Biden, I see a covert white supremacist who has a questionable track record based on the crack cocaine, the rock powder cocaine legislation he wrote, 94 crime bill, and the 3 strikes and you're outlaw. So I'm not seeing much reason to go to these polls outside of voting against Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who has made my neighborhood a wreck. So I'm not seeing much reason for going to the polls as related to any of them, because I'm not seeing how they're going to put tangibles on the table. I'm not seeing how they're going to really get America's economy going again in the COVID-19 crisis. And I'm not really seeing any sort of clear, cohesive leadership from either of these candidates, because that was not a debate we saw on Tuesday. That was a circus. And what would you expect from a former reality show host? He's just not qualified to be the president of these United States. And his presentation of a president has been an embarrassment to the American people. But what's even more embarrassing on the other side is the complete lack of preparation. The entire left party had 4 years to develop and prepare a candidate, and they had 4 years to prepare arguments to challenge the current president. And instead of them taking 4 years to present arguments, they just wasted our time with a whole host of attacks on this president, instead of presenting a strong argument to why their candidate would be a better choice. So when I look at this debate, it's just an embarrassment, and it's sad. It's a sad reflection of we the people. It shows that we the people have a serious problem, and your Donald Trump, as I see it, is a dark reflection to we the people about ourselves. And sadly, not many people are looking in the mirror and taking a critical examination of ourselves, because we would not have a Donald Trump in the White House if it wasn't for we the people. And many of these same people will sit there and talk about racism and all this stuff on the right, but that as related to the Proud Boys. But on the left, they won't look at the Antifa and even certain members of your Black Lives Matter organization. Two wrongs don't make a right, and two wrongs are sending the country in the wrong direction. So when I look at that debate, I look at it and I just see how bad things have gotten. I mean, again, when you cannot present arguments without getting personal, it shows how things have deteriorated in this country, and it shows how sad things have become in these United States. And when I hear a sitting president make a statement to a white supremacist group and tell them to get ready for some sort of conflict, that's, again, a red flag for me. And when I hear that same candidate not go out of his way to denounce white supremacy, that's something that's even more troubling for me. And even more troubling than that is the slanted news media, which doesn't give us balanced pictures of stories or objective pictures of stories. So instead of us getting a clear picture of the clear and present danger to our republic, we are getting a really slanted picture that does not show us how bad things are getting and how worse they're becoming. Because that debate was not a debate, it was an argument, and it's sad to see that Americans cannot go out of their way to debate the facts as related to the issues without getting personal. And it's sad to see grown men who are supposed to be presidential candidates who cannot go out here and debate. And that reminds me of something like David Carroll often talked about the Negro. I mean, he talks about how dysfunctional they are. And here we got a picture of white male dysfunction, and that's exactly like the dysfunction of the Afro-American Negro presented to us on that stage in Cleveland. And most Americans, they're sitting there, some of them are saying that Trump won or Biden won. But when I looked at that debate and the clips that I saw, the entire country lost, and we all lost because we have lost sight of what it means to be an American. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to help me out and let me get my first sale for the month of October, you can pick up one of my paperbacks and ebooks on Amazon.com by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.
Those who refuse the gift of eternal life are condemned to